When the news a serious road traffic accident had taken place just outside Cresslough village on the afternoon in September 2008, word filtered through across the local community that it was a serious one. As the reality came to pass that it was a head-on collision between a bus, its passengers, and a car, the signs were bad. When news emerged, the driver was none other than Father Mark Coyle, the highly popular and deeply respected guardian of Ards Friary. Hearts across the community sank, fearing the worst. The outlook was bleak, as the severity of his injuries, including a broken neck, required a risky transfer to a Dublin hospital, coupled with his advanced age and a menacing respiratory condition. His family, friends, colleagues and congregation braced themselves for sombre outcome. But as the old cliche goes, you can't keep a good man down, and for some time at least you couldn't, until 2 years after the devastating road crash he was finally called home and passed away peacefully in the company of his close family. Prior to his passing, I was invited to visit Father Mark in June 2009, who against all odds had won back a degree of health that allowed him back to his beloved Ards. Despite the long road to recovery, he had recently even returned to the altar to celebrate Mass and address the congregation with his thanks for all their support. His return even made front page news of the local paper. Still, I thought to myself, I better expect to find Father Mark giving whispered answers from his sick bed, as by now he only travelled the short distance around the friary by electric wheelchair, and the hour that I had arrived was getting late, well past an aging cleric's bedtime, I believed. What I was greeted with couldn't have been more different. A bright smile, an outstretched hand, a warm welcome met me as I walked in the door. A relaxed and chatty Father Mark, along with his nephew Brian McDade from Letterkenny, and I spent the next couple of hours enjoying his company, imparting laughs, life's lessons, wisdom, all interwoven in a unique personality that endeared him to so many. The reason I was invited to talk to him, it became clear, was he wished to speak to a local newspaper reporter to help him express his deep gratitude for all who helped during his ordeal and recovery, and have it published across the county for all to see. As he began to express these sentiments, he also began to describe the ordeal itself, his long road to recovery, and also many stories from his remarkable life. He started by recalling his transfer back from Letterkenny to Dublin to his native Letterkenny, which he believed would be his final journey. With serious neck injury, chest and arm injuries, among others, he was gravely ill, and he says as it was not for the good fortune from a passer-by and the quick response of those at the scene, he would not have made it past that day. Father Mark says he was delighted to be back in the close-knit community, and that he owes a debt of gratitude to the many people who have helped him to get back to his life in the Friary. When they told me they were sending me back to Letterkenny, I thought, that is it. I'm going home to die. And I felt that if I was God's will, I'd accept it. It was when I got back to Letterkenny I began to realise that there was, I called, a tsunami of prayer coming from all over the county. I felt it was coming from all over the county and even outside the country. Father Mark said it came from relatives in Australia and New Zealand. A woman told me I was prayed for at a mass in Philadelphia, and I began to realise there am I, as a priest, preaching to people about the power of prayer, and that there is no such thing as prayers God doesn't answer. And I was needing my own faith to be strengthened. That reality was when I realised, this is not the end yet. The Lord isn't ready for me, or maybe I'm not ready for the Lord, he said with a hearty laugh. Recalling the day of the accident, he was thankful for a number of factors that preventing further carnage. He expressed deep gratitude to all who attended with him in his hour of need, and all who continued to play a role in the recovery through prayers, cards, letters, and messages of goodwill. There is so many things I am grateful for. I am grateful, firstly, that there is nobody else injured in the accident except myself. I would have hated to have had to live with that. The other thing was the medical care I got. A doctor used to come to me and say, "You are a miracle man." They had questioned whether I was going to survive or not, but I did with a massive work they did. When we take so much for granted, when I came back to Letterkenny, the whole atmosphere and care of the general hospital and the nursing care, and especially rehab, where it was nearly like being at home. It was a home from home, and they were so human and very, very committed to their work. They were great, and they were always gave a little more exercise for me to do, and I feel a great debt to them, he added. He also sincerely acknowledged the role his close family played in his care. Recalling his accident as he drifted in and out of consciousness, there was only a few things he remembered. First was the bump, the front of the car coming in on him, followed by futile efforts to move his feet and arms, and then his head, the result of a broken neck. Then the arrival of the first person on the scene of the carnage, he explains. The lady who arrived first and came to the scene of the accident. She had just done a first aid course, something she always wanted to do, and she went in and held my head until the medical team came. Her efforts allowed the paramedics to stabilise their patient, and due to her quick thinking, it was the last movements his neck was allowed to make for over 2 months. That was the presence of God. It was extraordinary that she should be there at that time, he said. He also praised the bus driver for taking evasive action, which helped to avert one accident turning into something more serious, particularly for his passengers. I want to thank all the people and my family and friends and all the people, I don't know how many, for the hundreds of letters and cards that came from all over the place. I just wouldn't be able to answer them all, and I relish this opportunity to express in some public way my gratitude to all those people, because every one of them is like an act of affirmation that every one of them is praying for you, and the Lord was great to know that, he added. Now, given he navigated the long corridors of the Friary in the high-tech wheelchair, he was quick to his feet to demonstrate the physical progress he had made as he took 4 steps across the floor, turned and walked back, collapsing into the chair with a beaming smile. Progression he and many others thought impossible just a year ago. He said the injuries to his arm impacted on his great passion he had for fly fishing, but wouldn't rule anything out from casting a line in the future. Over the years he enjoyed nothing more than a day on the lake or river with his friends, and surely the thoughts of landing one more sea trout or salmon on Naka was always alive and well in his mind right up to the end. Sadly, it was not to come to pass. He had cast his last line. On Monday, June 14th, 2010, hundreds attended Father Mark's funeral in the Friary. Guardian Father Eustace spoke highly of the late cleric. When you asked Father Mark for advice, he paused, he took a deep breath, and then he pulled on his beard that seemed to release words of wisdom. There was always very practical words of wisdom, full of heart and full of compassion. Father Eustace commended in his homily and said Father Mark was a hugely popular person with a special gift. He struck me as being probably the best listener I have ever met, he said. The person in front of him was the person that mattered. His eyes, his face lit up when you met him, and you really felt that he wanted to talk to you. He was happy in your company, and you mattered. Diocesan spokesperson, Father Paddy Dunn, said Father Mark was a spiritual father who had a kind and gentle presence for people who came from all over the county to Ards. He was a source of great comfort and good fun. He had a great sense of humour, he said. Other priests went to him not only for guidance and advice, for support and friendship. When you went to Mark, you were welcome to Ards with open arms. A former army chaplain, Father Mark's long association with the army was marked by a military guard of honour at his funeral. He served a number of years of tours of duty in the Lebanon, but Ards was home, and his memory will live on there for many years to come. This interview was from the pen of Cresslough's Eamon McFadden, from an interview in Ards on the 5th of June 2009, a year before the passing of Father Mark on the 10th of June 2010. May he rest in peace.